The Grey Angel. Long, long ago, so long before that God had not even started on creating our world, there lived a little angel. He was a happy angel and had the gift of making others happy. Whatever his task, he would do it cheerfully. Seeing him, the others could not help but smile. And God loved him very much. All the angels at that time were like balls of light, some large and some small. None of them had any shape, but they glowed, and the little angel glowed very bright. One day, though days had not been created as yet, a friend of his came and told him that everything was not right. The little angel was surprised, but kept quiet, for he did not like to interrupt. His friend went on to tell him of how God treated all the angels the same, although so many of them had been created earlier. That was true, but the little one had never minded that the younger angels were his equals, or that some were stronger or faster or bigger. The friend explained that many of the older angels, especially the powerful ones, no longer wished to be equal. They deserved to have younger angels help them and follow their orders. Their many years of faithful service had earned them that right at least. Put that way, the little angel could not disagree, and very soon was accompanying his friend to the big meeting place. He was astonished to find so many at the conference, and even more surprised when the oldest, most powerful angel of all rose to address them. As the chief angel spoke, the little angel was surprised to feel anger for the very first time. He looked around and realized that all of them must have felt the same, for they all glowed brighter and brighter. They could feel the power of the angel leader's words, and it was strange because none of them had ever experienced any power other than God's before. Some of the other angels left, but our angel pitied them, for their light could not match the brightness of those who burned with the injustice of it all. The angel leader spoke on, and it was as if his words entered their very being. Wherever they lodged, they changed things. Knowing their hearts, the leader took them to God and put forward their case. Their demands would have to be met, for were they not powerful beings in their own right? And with so many of them united with him, their leader knew he and they were more powerful than they had ever been. God listened to them with eyes closed and head bowed. Some of them exulted, for they knew they had won and things were going to change. But as the little angel watched God, he felt the anger drain out of him. He and they were hurting God deeply and for no real reason. He looked to leave, but did not want to draw any attention to himself. And then it was too late. God looked up and everyone could feel his pain. It was as if without a single word he had snuffed out their anger. With that came shame, and a strange thing happened. As they looked into God's eyes, their lights started to go out. First here, then there, and then suddenly everywhere. The angels had become shadows. They left the place of light then because they did not feel comfortable seeing themselves or being seen. Darkness hid their shame better, and each shadow exiled himself from the place that would later be called heaven. For a long time after that, many of them wandered around aimlessly, having no work and no purpose. The shadow leader and a few others brooded and plotted. Putting all their power together, they were able to relight their fires, but the flames were different, violent, and deadly. This lot brushed through the other shadows until the day that they heard that God was to build a new world, a garden of great beauty and new living creatures. This was great news for the shadows. If God could enjoy such a world, surely they could too. They could live again, enjoy the light again, maybe even see God again without being seen. If nothing else, by living in the new creation, they could once more feel some touch of God's. But the angels of a different flame were no longer willing to accept being powerless. As the shadows made plans of creating a home, their leaders planned on conquering one. Many of the shadows felt the despair of being driven still further from God, and their shadows darkened. The leader was pleased, for he had forced the undecided to follow him to a point of no return. Soon, each of them was assigned new tasks. Our little angel, now a shadow, created anger here and hatred there. As he taught lions to kill lambs, hopelessness set in. His greatest achievement was training the heart of a man called Samson to a woman called Delilah. He did that wonderfully, for he knew all about love, and he became famous. But this twisting of something good disgusted him. He went away for a while, and when he returned, the others noticed a pallor. From that day onward, the grey shadow worked differently. He took his task and tried to achieve the reverse secretly. It worked sometimes, but other times not. Slowly, he got better at it. He laughed with the other shadows when David went against Goliath, but created terror in the hearts of the Philistine army after. Each success made him weaker, for it took away some of the darkness from within and left him grey. It hurt to lose bits of himself, his very substance, but he found that the constant pain made him no longer care what the others thought. The others, in fact, thought he was sick. Year after year, he wasted away, and year after year, his madness got worse. Some time later, the shadow watched in wonder as a little child grew into a little man with a huge heart. He did not understand why the other shadows worked so hard to harm the man. He was even more mystified when they could not. So he watched this special being and marveled at his kindness and his love. He had the power to heal and the power to forgive. Even the shadow leader was afraid of him, and every shadow was ordered into battle. The grey one watched raiding parties set out day after day, but could do nothing to help the man, for he was too weak. So much of himself had dripped away that he could barely move, and he knew that where he lay was where he would stay forever. Too weak to do any little good that could finally finish him off, and too far gone to ever be a shadow again. He watched in dismay as the man was arrested. His horror grew when the man was whipped. The shadow lands erupted with the man's death. But in the midst of the celebration, the shadow wept, and he was not alone. A sudden hush fell when the man arrived in their home. Shadows jeered and others hooted, but none dared touch him. He walked free and went from one hall to the next, for no door could stop him. After 2 days of exploring, he left, and all could breathe again. The grey smoke slumped back into the deepest sorrow he had ever felt, because he had not been able to see the man. He had just closed his eyes when he felt a touch and saw the man before him. "Hello, grey angel. Do you remember me?" asked the man. The smoke was confused, for the man knew him. He looked again and saw God. "Lord," he rasped, "forgive me for hurting you so deeply. For the sake of your love, grant me this wish. Dissolve this last bit of smoke that remains of me, and no longer remember the pain I caused you." The man reached out and said, "Little angel, welcome back into the light, for today you leave with me." With that, they vanished.